wanna see love make a comeback. I wanna feel hope when it runs out. I wanna see everybody joining in until kindness wins again.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So they caught the guy who killed Orsolya Gaal. I'm gonna play you the press conference, and there's a couple videos of him, but I want to read you this article real quick. It was indeed the handyman. His name is David Bonola. So let me read you this article and then I'll play the videos. So it says, handyman lover used kitchen knife to stab married Queen's mom 58 times in basement while her son was upstairs after domestic dispute. Couple had on-off romance for 2 years that started when he worked in her house. Queen's mother, Orsolya Gaal, and her lover had been having an on and off affair for 2 years before he murdered her with a kitchen knife in her basement last week while her 13-year-old son was upstairs. David Bonola, 44, was arrested on Thursday in the early hours of the morning. He was spotted by police on Wednesday night and brought in for questioning and then confessed to murdering Gaal in her home on April 16th, shortly before 1 a.m. He was put in a police car on Thursday in front of journalists asking why he killed her. He screamed, "F you, mother effer." The pair started seeing each other in 2020 after he worked in the family home where Gaal lived with her husband, Howard, and 2 sons. It was an on-off relationship, which they rekindled in April, but which had recently ended again. On Friday night, not long after midnight, Gaal let Bonola into her home. It's unclear if she had invited him over or if he showed up unannounced. They went inside and down to the basement because her youngest son, Leo, was upstairs at the time. Her husband, Howard, and oldest son, Jamie, were out of town looking at colleges. At some point, the pair started arguing, and Bonola stabbed her 58 times using a knife that he found inside the house. It is not clear what the argument was specifically about. He then retrieved her son's hockey bag and waited until 4 a.m., then wheeled her body out of the home and dumped it less than half a mile away. He also sent a text to Howard Klein, Gaal's husband, claiming to have been someone she once sent to jail and failed attempt to throw police off his scent. Bonola then walked to his home through Forest Park. The next day, he went to the hospital for treatment for his wounds on his hands. On Wednesday night, as police officers were canvassing the area in Queens for video footage, they spotted Bonola and approached him. They knew about the affair and wanted to question him, so they brought him in for questioning at the 112th precinct, where he confessed to the entire murder. At a press conference on Thursday, NYPD detectives revealed he had worked in Gaal's family home and was known to the family. It's unclear if Gaal's husband, Howard Klein, was aware of their affair. They had been off and on, and they had broken up prior, but had reunited early in the month of April, and their relationship was considered at an end, NYPD Detective Julie Morrill said. Bonola is originally from Mexico, but moved here in his early 20s. He is from Richmond Hill, a neighborhood in Queens that is a stone's throw from where Gaal lived with her family. Gaal had spent Friday night at a show at the Lincoln Center in Manhattan with girlfriends. She then returned to Queens sometime before 11, stopping in for a drink at Forest Hills Station House, where she had a Moscow Mule. She then walked home to Juno Street. It's unclear if her killer was already inside the home or if she let him in afterwards, but at 12:40 a.m. she was stabbed 58 times in the neck, torso, and arm. Her 13-year-old son Leo was upstairs in the house at the time, but did not hear anything. We believe Mr. Bonola arrives between 12:30 and 12:40 a.m. He is a handyman who is employed by Mrs. Gaal. They had been having an intimate affair for 2 years. Bonola is either let in voluntarily or he uses a key that he knows is kept in the barbecue. A heated argument in the basement ensues, and then a violent struggle before Bonola ruthlessly and brutally stabs Mrs. Gaal in excess of 55 times, causing her demise. Bonola then retrieved a hockey bag belonging to the son. After disposing of the body, Mr. Bonola fled through Forest Park, where investigators discovered the jacket worn by him. So Bonola lives in this building in Richmond Hill, Queens. The building was taped off on Thursday. So this is where David lives. Okay. On Saturday, he received treatment at a local area hospital for wounds on his hands. At this time, he has no prior arrests that we know of. There are no outstanding suspects, Chief Detective James Gessick said at a press briefing. Gaal's body was found the next morning by a dog walker who called police. Cops then followed a trail of blood left by the dragged bag back to Gaal's home. They found Leo inside unscathed and took him in for questioning, putting him in handcuffs before letting him go later that day. Gaal's husband Howard and her older son Jamie, who had been on the West Coast, rushed back. They have not been seen or heard from since. Now I'm going to play you a video of them taking David into the car, and then I'm going to play you the press conference.
David, why'd you do it?
Look over here, David. Yeah.
David, what happened?
Look here, David.
Hey, Paso, David, why'd you do it?
Look here, David. One more.
What happened, David? What happened, David?
David. Look this way, David.
What happened, David? Okay, Paso. David, why'd you do it? David, what happened?
Did you kill her?
Hey, Paso, David, why'd you do it?
David, did you kill Orsolya? David!
Hey, Paso, David.
Fuck you, motherfucker.
David, why'd you do it?
Look over here, David.
David, what happened?
Look here, David.
Okay, Paso, David, why'd you do it?
Look here, David. One more.
What happened, David? Okay, Paso, David. What happened, David? Okay, Paso, David. What happened?
Good morning, everybody. Chief James Essig, Chief of Detectives, New York City Police Department. With me here today is from Patrol Services Bureau, Chief Carlos Valdez from Queens North, the Commanding Officer to 112, Inspector Joe Kappelman, the Assistant Chief Joe Kenny, the Citywide's Investigation Chief, Julie Morell, the Queens Investigation Chief, who led this investigation, Lieutenant Timmy Thompson from Queens North Homicide, the two case detectives, Detective Carmine Caruso from Queens North Homicide, and Detective John Benzold from the 112 Precinct Detective Squad. So, good morning, everybody. Last night, while detectives were canvassing for video, they observed a male who was wanted for questioning in a horrendous homicide. He voluntarily came back to the 112 precinct and made incriminating statements. Today, that male, David Bonola, male, 44 years old, residing at 10418 114th Street in Queens, New York, is being charged with murder in the second degree, criminal tampering in the first degree, and criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree, in relation to the death of Orsolya Gaal, female, 51 years old. This investigation is still preliminary. There is a lot of work left to do, but this is what I can tell you. On Friday night, April 15th, Miss Gaal attends a show at Lincoln Center. She takes the train back to her neighborhood in Forest Hills. At 11:20 p.m., she stops in a local establishment for a short while before returning home. We believe she returns home at 12:20 a.m. We also believe Mr. Bonola arrives at her residence between 12:30 and 12:40 a.m. Mr. Bonola is a handyman who was employed by Mrs. Gaal. They have been having an intimate affair for approximately 2 years. He is either let in voluntarily or he uses a key he has knowledge about hidden in the barbecue. A heated argument ensues between the two in the basement. A knife is brandished. A violent struggle ensues, resulting in our victim being stabbed ruthlessly and brutally in excess of 55 times, causing her demise. Recovered at that crime scene is a knife which we believe was used. Mr. Bonola then retrieved a hockey bag belonging to Miss Gaal's son, placed her in the bag, and as video showed, was seen rolling the body down the sidewalks, leaving a bloody trail through the streets of Forest Hills. At 7:50 a.m. Saturday, April 16th, That duffel bag was recovered at Metropolitan Avenue and the Jackie Robinson Parkway by a member of the public. We believe that after disposing of the body, Mr. Bonola fled through Forest Park, where investigators discovered the jacket believed to be worn by him during this vicious crime. Detectives also developed leads which led them to a location where boots, a t-shirt, and bloody bandages were discovered. Investigation also revealed that on Saturday, Mr. Bonola received treatment for wounds to both hands at an area hospital. As I said before, this case is still ongoing. We are still awaiting forensics evidence and are canvassing for more victim video as we speak. But detectives, through interviews, videos, and the public's help, and specifically the Queens DA, Melinda Katz, and her staff, who have been with us every step of the way, were able to quickly take this killer off the street. I just want to assure the public, and especially the residents of Forest Hills, that there are no outstanding suspects at this time. With that, I'd like to take any questions.
Hold on, Nicole.
Talk about the system's background. Has he been arrested before in the system for anything domestic?
At this time, he has no arrests that we know of.
Juliet, hold on, ma'am. Ma'am, hold on. Juliet.
Could you talk a little more about the nature of the relationship? Was this something that wasn't, was she rejecting him? Why were they getting into the argument at all?
This is Lieutenant Timmy Thompson from the Queens North Homicide Squad.
Good afternoon, everybody. We believe the relationship that the Mr. Bonola had with our victim was an intimate type relationship, and this stemmed to be a domestic type dispute that they were having. Over their intimate relationship, they started to get into just regular domestic issues that seemed to occur between them.
Was he living at that house at any point in time, living in the basement?
At this time, not that we know of.
And also, do you happen to know, was this ongoing work that he was doing at the house? Was he there? Like, how often was he there?
He has been doing work at that residence for approximately 2 years on and off.
John.
Chief, did he confess, and did he say why he did it? Did he give a motive away?
Well, I mean, he made incriminating statements. We're not going to go into what he talked about. This is still under investigation. But we, working with the Queens District Attorney's Office, we have enough to arrest him and charge him with the murder.
Chief, were they breaking up, and what about the son upstairs? Was he alerted to this? Is that why he fled quickly with the duffel bag?
First question first. I'm sorry, you said, were they breaking up? They had been off and on, and they had broken up prior, but had reunited early in the month of April, and their relationship was considered at an end.
By her?
By her?
We don't have her statement, ma'am.
Can you talk a bit about the alleged text messages that came to her husband who was out of town? Did he indeed get a message, and was it threatening in nature?
A message was sent from the victim's cell phone to the husband. That message was, as previously reported, that there had been a crime in the past that was now that same person from the crime in the past was back again. We believe that to be completely false, as far as there was nothing to do with any crime in the past in this case. We have it from in the confession that he sent that message, and he has no burglary in the past.
I'm sorry, that the family, the rest of your family is in danger. That was the nature of the message. Do you understand? That the rest of the family was in danger?
That is the nature of the message.
All right, back here.
We don't believe there was any danger to the family.
Any information on why he dragged the body out in duffel bags and the film was like in such a sloppy manner? Talk about that at all? Was it because the son was upstairs with you?
We believe he just didn't want it to be found by the family.
Right away.
The knife. Did he bring the knife to the house, or was the knife in the home already?
The knife is consistent with knives that are in the home.
Tony?
Detective Thompson, the relationship, there's a report that it may have started while she went on an overseas trip and met the defendant overseas. Is there any truth to that?
So at this time, we don't believe that to be true.
Antoine?
Chief, or maybe Miss Julie, do we know if the husband was aware of the relationship, if it's 2 years or more, between his wife and your suspect?
We're not going to get it.
We're not.
Mark?
Was the handyman, did the husband know the handyman? What is he known to the family?
Yes, he was.
Right here.
Hi, so I just wanted to clarify one thing you said. You said they were on and off, but they had united in April, but now it was at an end. So are we saying that they had broken up or that they were together?
As we stated earlier, on and off, and he came back this evening to speak about the relationship again.
Rocco?
Chief, the duffel bag in question, does he go into the son's room to get it? At any point, is the son woken up or aware of what's going on?
The duffel bag was not kept in the son's room.
So, and the son slept throughout? This is not an instance where the son interrupted what was going on?
The son did not interrupt what was going on.
All right, guys, we're going to take two more. Ricardo?
When did the suspect arrive in this country and where is he from?
He is a
I can speak to that.
Mexican.
So we preliminarily, part of our investigation, we believe he arrived here approximately 21 years ago, and we believe he came from Mexico.
Right here.
Was he a legal resident here? Did he come here legally? And my second question is, before this happened, was she followed from the bar or the establishment that she was at beforehand? Was she followed, we believe, by him?
So we're not going to get into his immigration status? We're going to
We don't believe he's followed. No, we don't believe he's followed. As this is, he has a relationship for her for 2 years. He knows where she lives. He's very familiar with the layout of the house in terms of the duffel bag also.
Last question, Juliet.
Do you believe he was already inside the house waiting for her, and then how did it end up going into the basement?
We know that he was not.
He was not in the house. She returns home at 12:20. He enters the house between 12:30 and 12:40. They go down to the basement. Could be any amount of, if they're arguing, the son's upstairs. Could be any reason such as that.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
guys, thank you, everyone.
Really, 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 really need your love. I'm begging you to be kind. I'm begging you to be kind.